Story 37, The Follower. This is kind of a spooky one. I didn't want to put this out before Easter, though. I want to give that spiritual emphasis on God. But story 37, The Follower. Hey, I wear the hat. I just got to explain. Why is he wearing it? Well, some reason these candles, sometimes they throw shadows and put like a shadow right on my forehead and up on top of my head. So I couldn't seem to figure out how to use the candles and not have that odd shadow and lights. So I just put a hat on. Problem solved. All right, this story, The Follower, starts out in Ithaca Hospital in central New York. Number of years ago, I went there with my mother, who was having a double mastectomy done, in efforts to beat breast cancer. And I will say, looking back, the mastectomy was not successful, but the chemo afterwards was successful ultimately in stopping the cancer. So at the time, you do what you gotta do. Hard times. I went there with my mom. She had her surgery. Nobody else was there, just me. I felt like I needed to stay with her through the night. She had the surgery, that evening, and then they brought her from recovery to her hospital room, and she was out. She was on the morphine drip and totally out. And so I'm sitting in a room with her all night, just listening to the machines go beep, 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 and had the morphine drip and all the other things hooked up, monitoring her vitals, and every hour a nurse would walk in and check on her. But she was out sleeping. So I'm sitting in there by myself in a hospital room. And hospitals, I'll just say a word on these. You'd probably think this yourself. They're like, I think, a hub for spiritual activity. You got people being born. You got people dying. People coming into this world. People leaving the world. All in that building on a daily basis. And who knows what spiritual battles are going on and what dire situations happen there that you don't see. Good and evil. So it's not all bad. It's not all good. It's got to be quite a busy hub for spiritual activity. There. So it's about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm sitting there probably getting bored playing on my phone. And I go to get some coffee, and the place is pretty much empty. And there's really not many people there that night. I mean, there was a staff there, but there wasn't much activity going on. I was up on the 3rd floor. So I'm wandering around. I'm trying to stay awake. My mom's out on morphine. She seems to be doing okay. So I'm wandering around this empty hospital at 3 or 4 in the morning with a cup of coffee, trying to wake up. I get on an elevator and I go down, all the way down to the basement of this hospital. No particular reason. I'm just wandering around. I get in the basement, very bottom floor, pretty big hospital. I don't see or hear anybody. It's quiet. There's nobody down there. Lights are on, of course. It's hospital, basement. I start wandering around down there. I did not get too far until I realized that I was in the morgue section of the hospital all by myself. And I'm like, eugh. I wasn't really scared, but I decided I don't want to wander around here by myself. So I walked back, got on the elevator, and here's where something happened that does not happen to me too often. I got a vibe, a very distinct vibe. And some people get vibes, they get feelings with places of spirits, and some people see or hear them. And some people both. But me, I usually don't get vibes. Things just happen to me when I don't expect it. Sometimes I do get a vibe. Sometimes it does happen. This was one of those times. I got on the elevator and I remember thinking and feeling, without a doubt, as soon as I got on the elevator, I thought something has followed me in here. Something followed me out of the morgue and on the elevator. It's attracted to me. It's going to use me to get out of here or something. But it followed me out of the morgue and was shadowing me, following me, not attached. I've got a story out there already put out about spiritual attachments. When something's attached, it's physically attached to you, in you. And I've seen that. I've seen spirit come right out of a person and then follow after that person. Saw it. And that's another story I've already done called, I think, Spiritual Attachments. No, this followed me. I felt it was standing next to me the whole time after that. It followed me up the stairs, followed me to my mom's room, and it's just, I didn't see it. I just somehow knew that something had followed me out of the morgue. And I didn't worry about it a whole lot. More preoccupied with my mom and trying to stay awake. Well, the sun came up. My mom woke up. She seemed to be doing all right. And she told me, son, you may as well go home. I'm going to be here for a couple of days. I'm all right. Go home and get some sleep. Thanks for staying with me. And I, said my piece with her and said I'd come back, check on her later that day. And I needed to go home and get some sleep. So I got my car and I drove home 25 miles thereabouts to my home where I lived alone in a large Victorian house, which is going to be the subject of yet another ghost story. And it's a house on Congress Street. And I was living alone in this big old Victorian house. My bedroom was upstairs. And when I got my car and I was driving home, I remember thinking, and I've never felt this way in my life before or since. I'm driving and I said, it's still with me. I sensed it was right outside my car door, kind of shadowing my car, just kind of gliding along, keeping pace, following me. And I didn't give it a lot of thought, but I remember distinctly thinking, it's still with me, it's still following me. And I got home, really tired, went upstairs, the sun was up, I remember, and went to my bedroom, closed the door, and plopped down on bed. Bam. And as soon as I hit the bed, the very second I hit the bed, well, maybe 5 seconds after, but bam. And as soon as that happened, I heard a man scream very loud right outside my bedroom door. And I mean, screaming. I jumped up out of bed. I remember standing. I did not go out. I didn't open the door. I'm like, oh my God. And I remember clenching my hands. I was scared. And I'm, oh my God. And I start praying. That's what I always do. Praying to God for protection. And this scream was loud. And it went on for about maybe up to 10 seconds. And that's a long time for a scream. It started out real loud and then just kind of trailed off in volume till it was not gone. But it was, I don't know, I can't replicate it, but this guy screaming. And it was anguish mostly. I got the emotional vibe. I always get the emotional vibe on these things. It was mostly anguish and despair and rage, but mostly anguish and despair, and a little bit of anger. But I felt like it was thrown out, that it followed me. It was not allowed to come into my room. And in that house, I had to happen a lot there. And I think that God put an angel by my door. I really do. And when I get to that story, you'll see what I mean. But this is kind of a ghost story within a ghost story, because I'm going to get to that haunted house story on Congress Street. And I won't retell this story, but I'll mention it. Yeah. It was a man's scream. One very long, drawn out, protracted scream, amplified emotion of anguish, despair, and some anger, rage, and just started out real loud. Again, I jumped up out of bed instantly. I remember clenching my hands. I was scared, and said my prayers, and it just trailed off in volume. and it vanished. And I went to bed and went to sleep. And that's the end of story 37, The Follower. But yes, some things can follow you. And I got the impression that it was attracted to me. I don't get impressions like this, but sometimes I do. I distinctly got the impression when I walked down into that morgue at night, at 3 or 4 in the morning, all by myself, there was a spirit down there of some sort that was lost for whatever reason. I didn't think it was evil or good. I really couldn't tell you. But it saw me come in and was attracted to me for some reason and followed me out of that hospital, out of the morgue, out of the hospital. I think I was a way out. It decided to follow me. And I think I got the distinct impression also with the scream that it was taken out of there, that God had taken it out of there, removed it from my house. And that's why the rage, it didn't want to be removed, and it was being taken away. Who knows? I don't know what. I could only presume. Maybe dragged off to hell or something. I don't know. That's story 37, The Follower. That's it. I'll get through this time, huh? I want to keep telling these stories. I want to get them done and move on to some other things. But I got a bunch more. All right, good night. God bless you. Enjoy your comments. I want to add again that somebody, actually one of you comment with the hippie chicks, the story 36. Somebody made the comment that somebody that wasn't spiritually tuned in might have had something follow them out of there. And I commented back, yeah, I actually had that happen. Some of these stories I forget about, and I said, I'll tell that story next. The Follower. So there it is. Adios. Till next time. God bless you.